All right, I'm Trysette. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to my channel. Also, go and find Kenny's afterwards and do the same and whatever. Follow him everywhere. This is Kenny Aronoff, one of the most in-demand, sought-after and influential drummers in the world. And I'm here in the studio with you, and I feel blessed.
Oh, thank you.
He's been with John Fogerty for 25 years, and before that, John Mellencamp, 30 years. But he's played with everybody, including Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, Sting. Who else have we got? The Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen. And the list goes on. I've put it in down below in the details. Or you can go to kennyaronoff.com and read all about him. I'm sure most of you know who he is anyway. Kenny, thank you so much
for
having me here today. Awesome. and chatting live with us. So we met in Australia. Can you hear us, by the way? That's important. We just need to get a yes or a no if we need to get closer or not. Can you hear us okay? Yes, thank you. All right, so Kenny and I met in Australia about 8 years ago when you came to
Byron Bay?
Yeah, Byron Bay. But first it was the Brisbane. We actually met at the Brisbane
really?
Entertainment Centre. Kenny was playing with on a Fogerty tour. And we went, us girls, Karen Nash, myself, and Briere, who is here. So you actually met Briere. And my other sister, Meredy, we went backstage because, you know, Bob Malone, the whole connection. If you don't know about all that, go back and have a look at my interview with him a couple of weeks ago. We came backstage and I think you put me in a headlock pretty much straight away.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I was sizing you up. I want to see what you could hang with.
Oh, so you could. Yeah. And how did I do?
You were great. You laughed, and I think you tried to elbow me or something. It didn't work, but I loved your effort. It was a good effort.
You must have known I grew up with brothers.
Karen Nash should have warned you. She knows. I got her in a headlock and probably did a bunch of other things, but you know, it's just the way it's the way I roll.
Okay. It does.
My wife's over there looking at what?
She
knows I got her in a headlock too when I met her.
I didn't turn out too well.
And I tied her up.
Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. Do we need to censor this? Actually, I saw a photo of you two. I hadn't met Gina, and I saw a photo of you walking away from the camera, and on your back, straddled on your back, was this little blonde number, and I thought, that's the girl for him. No wonder. I got it straight away. Kenny, is there anybody you haven't worked with that you still want to work with?
Well, yeah. I mean, this. I would love to. Well, let's see. I would love to do something with Josh Homme. You know, that'd be cool to record with him. I really don't know. I can't think of anybody.
Because you worked with them.
Yeah, I worked with someone else. There's nobody I'm sitting there going, damn, I hope that happens. I don't think about it. It seems like it just keeps rolling out, you know, for me. I'm very fortunate. But no, there's not. I mean, I always thought it'd be cool to have a super group with a trio. I love trios, power trios. Have Sting as the bass player and the singer. And then I'd be the drummer, of course. And then have Jeff Beck as the guitar player.
Well, you've only got to call them up, haven't you? You know?
Yeah. I know. You know, they say you make things happen. I do. So I should make that happen.
Absolutely. And that leads me to, I've been reading your book. I'm still reading it. And it's Sex, Drums and Rock and Roll. It's a wonderful book. It describes a life lived fast and to full and overflowing. Would you say that describes you?
Well, I mean, that book it's got the stories, of course, but it's about, like, you know, basically a little kid at 10 years old. You know, mom told me to come in the house. I thought I was in trouble, and I saw she was pointing to this TV set. It was a black and white TV set with the rabbit ears, and it was these four guys with long hair, dressed in suits and playing guitars and drums. And the lead singer went up and started singing "She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah." And of course, we know that was the Beatles, and I'm like bouncing off the walls. And I asked my mom, "Who are those guys?" She said, "They're the Beatles." I said, "Well, I want to play with the Beatles. Call them up and get them on. I want to play in that band." That's what a 10-year-old kid does, right? But the cool thing about the story is that 50 years later, I get called up to do a CBS special called "The Night That Changed America," which is honoring those Beatles. For that Ed Sullivan show that I saw, it was 72 million people in North America saw it. And now I get to play with the two remaining Beatles, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, along with a lot of other artists. And it's just like almost like a dream come true story. And what happened in between is in the book, and what happened after is in the book. And it's about just, working hard and getting your ass kicked and keep on going like a running back in football or a rugby player. You just keep trying to get a touchdown. No matter what happens, you keep rolling forward.
Yeah. Well, what really stood out for me was your refusal to take no for an answer. And you were back in the early days when you first started playing with John Mellencamp, who was then Johnny Cougar.
Yeah.
You literally got fired straight out of a recording session. You were recording his one of his albums, your first one for him, I think.
Yeah, I was only in the band for 5 weeks, and we were making a record. Yeah.
And you said to him, "I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay here, watch and learn from the drummer you hire, and I'm going to become the drummer you need." Who does that?
Well, let me, Steve Jobs said this thing that, later in life you can connect the dots. When I was going through that was a very emotional moment. And now when I connect the dots, what was happening there was, and this is what I talk about when I give inspirational speeches to, corporation stuff, is that, I realized when I saw the Beatles at 10 years old, and that my purpose in life was to play drums in a rock and roll band. I didn't know what that even meant, but it's a place from in your heart. That's something you feel. It's not up here. And so when John Mellencamp, was telling me to go home, at that point I had realized I'd finally gotten into my Beatles. I was going to make records and tour the world and be on TV, and it was just, my dream had come true. So when he told me no, he was essentially taking away my purpose in life. He was taking away my bliss, my deepest desires, and not understanding what was happening. All I knew was there was no friggin' way. I never say friggin', but I'm not supposed to swear, so I'm saying friggin'. That's the most bogus thing to say. But anyway, there was no effing way I was going to go. And I was terrified. I was afraid. I was freaking out. But he basically said, "I'll pay for the rest of the week, but you go home." And that's when I said, "There's no way I'm going home." And that's when I stood up to him, freaked out.
Yeah.
Am I still your drummer? And he looked at me and he was like, why is he asking that? And he said, "Yeah, but you're not playing on the record." And that's when I started fumbling, going like, "Well, I'm going to go in the studio and watch those session guys play my parts, and I'll learn from them. And like you said, I'll benefit from that, and you'll benefit because I'm your drummer." He didn't say a word. And the band is just looking at me like, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" And finally I just went, well, you don't have to pay me. I'll just sleep on the couch. And he said, "Okay."
That was the sweet.
No, I want to add something to that. I mean, John, I didn't even notice, but John wasn't the one that was firing me. The one that was firing me was the producer. Because, especially back then when you made records on the tape, it wasn't like Pro Tools where you can edit everything, you can play a couple measures and fix it. Back then, the drummers had to have great equipment. They had to have how to tune the drums. They had to come up with great parts. They had to have perfect time. Had to have great feel. They had to be able to play from beginning to end flawlessly. They had to be able to take instruction. They had to be able to play with click tracks. They had to be able to, a session drummer had to adapt to new musicians immediately and make it work. And the biggest thing that I didn't know about at that point, definitely, was the purpose of a drummer, a session drummer, or a session musician is one thing and one thing only. Get the goddamn record on the radio to be #1 hit. That's it. But nobody tells you. There's no rule book in rock and roll. Point is, you get the record on the radio to be number one, you just made the corporation, which in that case is John Cougar Mellencamp, millions of dollars.
Right.
And then they go, we like you. We will pay you some money. Do it again. And, 2 years later, Jack and Diane is John's biggest number one hit single ever. I did exactly that. But nobody told me that. So that I eventually learned. Because when I stayed there for 4 weeks and humbly and learning and embarrassed, felt like a loser. I was all the negative things you feel as a child, I was feeling. And I went home and I went, all right, what's my new plan? My plan, and I'm a hyperachiever, so I'm always taking action. But my plan is I have to learn how to play drums for this guy's music, serve his music, get his songs on the radio. Mm-hmm. And so it took me 2 years. I had to wait to make the record that became his, 2-time Grammy Award record, American Fool. And it was the hardest record I've ever made. I almost got in a fist fight with him, almost got fired. 2 guys got fired. It was a brutally difficult record, but the end result was huge.
Huge. And 30 years of
no, actually it was 17 with him.
17. Sorry, I got that wrong.
That's all right. But 17 felt like 30.
Right.
So you're not wrong. I mean, you probably heard me talk about it and added up.
Telling me.
Felt like 30. Yeah.
Well, but it did also, you became a very innovative drummer, because you said that John Mellencamp would come into the studio and say, all right, you're all learning a new instrument today. Pick an instrument, learn it, because he wanted all his albums to sound really unique, really new, and really different. Mm-hmm. So therefore you had to pick an instrument, come up with something new and run with it. And so that leads me to Maddie Beltrami's question. She wants to know, and did you want to elaborate on that, by the way?
Well, you touched on a really important thing. Innovation and creativity is one of the key things that I feel a musician has to have, or anybody working or serving a team. You as an individual, there's nobody like you, there's nobody like me, but we have a built-in, unique, innovative, and creative ideas and juices in us. And it's our job to bring that to the team. John, I mean, he would play a song on acoustic guitar twice, and then he'd turn to me and go, what do you got? I mean, talk about coming up with the creative foundation for a song, the drums, the feel, the beat. Everybody would react to that. The pressure was on me big time. As soon as Jack and Diane became number one and Hurt So Good was a number 2 hit, John went to me for, come on, give me another hit. Give me another hit. And so for my 17 years with him, it was constantly the pressure of what can I do that's creative, that serves his song, it's simple, right to the point, that makes that song, oh, I know that song, that drum beat, that feel, that energy, whatever it was. So the pressure was on. Yes. It was an incredible way to learn how to serve music, how to be a team player, that has benefited me for the rest of my career,
wow.
And still going.
And a lot of drummers I know these days are inspired by you and use Kenny riffs and Kenny sounds and things like that. Maddie asks, who's your all-time favorite rock drummer, jazz drummer, and how have they influenced your style? Well,
I mean, if I have to pick one rock drummer, I'm going to have to say it's John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, because his timing was impeccable, his feel is impeccable, his sound is impeccable, his vocabulary, the beats he came up with, and he was an incredible musician. He knew what to do and what not to do. Like if you think of a song like Kashmir, do-do-do, 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 and all he did was play, now why would a guy with all this technique and knowledge and ability just do that? Because he knew that was so appropriate to complement what Jimmy Page was playing on guitar. That angular do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. There was all that movement. He created this foundation. And so he's my favorite drummer by far in rock and roll. In jazz, I'm going to have to say Buddy Rich, because Buddy Rich brought the drums to the forefront. He had a personality, he had a drive, he had an energy that I can relate to because I'm so mellow like him. No, but he's got this gift that was just something that was so unique. It's just the energy, and he had a personality. I mean, you know, he was on Johnny. He was interviewed as a celebrity because of his personality, and it came through in his playing. Plus, he was born with a facility that was uncanny, ridiculous, ridiculous speed and flow that was uncanny to any other jazz drummer.
Some of it, you just totally.
So that's a good question. But they influenced me because they were so great.
Yeah, and because we learn from those that we love, don't we? Just naturally.
And you know, a key moment in my life is I recorded with the Buddy Rich Big Band, honoring Buddy Rich. 2 songs I recorded with the band. Scariest session of my life, Terrified. And the closest I got to Zeppelin was at the Kennedy Center Honors. I was in the house band that honored Zeppelin, so I got to play, you know, Hold a Lot of Love and Ramble On with them up there looking at it. That was like,
Bob says, Kenny, you're so mellow.
What did Bob say?
You're so mellow.
Yeah, right now. Well, I'm trying to be behaved, Bob. You know, any minute now it's going to be crazy.
He's trying to watch his language, and I don't know whether you're allowed to swear.
Bob's going.
But my mum and dad might be watching, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Bob's used to me, you know, doing a lot more than what I'm doing right now. You know.
Oh, totally. Me too.
Yeah. I'm usually out of control, everybody.
So, but Kenny, why did you turn down an Elton John tour?
Oh, you heard about that.
I read about it.
Well,
I know the answer.
I turned down the Elton John tour. I'd recorded with him, and Bernie Taupin got me in the band, and I wasn't ready to leave Mellencamp. And a great example is, I think it was in the book, we're playing at the Forum, sold out. No opening act with Mellencamp. It was 3 hours of us. People always rowdy and yelling and screaming and just can't wait for us to get on stage because it was high energy because I was playing drums.
That's right.
And just get the crowd up and everybody singing and it's just complete fun. And Bernie comes up to me backstage. I'm about to go on. And he goes, and this is 360, you know, people ever. And he goes, man, I cannot believe you turned down the Elton John tour. I got you in. And I went, Bernie, I can't believe I said no. I mean, I literally stuttered when I called.
I was going to ask you about the phone call.
Oh, the phone call. I said, this is Kenny Aronoff, and no. She says, what? I says, I can't do the tour. No. She says, what? I was literally stuttering, and you know, there were still some regrets. I blew that, you know, because Elton John is like one of the greatest, you know. So Bernie, I said, Bernie, look it. I said, why are you here? You're here to see Mellencamp, right? He says, well, every song I play up there, that audience knows that I recorded that song. I'm kind of essentially in the Mellencamp band, you know. It's like I'm like the Keith Richards of the band. It's like these songs, I'm not like a side man. This is kind of like my band I'm in. And so it has so much deeper meaning to me than just being a hired gun. And he went, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, so. But
you did get to record with Elton anyway.
I did. And a funny story about Elton, I was doing at the Fox Theater. He lives in Atlanta, and I'm asleep. I'm playing with the Smashing Pumpkins, and it's a world tour, and I'm really tired because we're traveling from country to country, like bam, bam, bam. I'm laying down, and some guy says, Elton John wants to see you. I went, bullshit. He says, no, Elton John wants to see you. I says, yeah, and Elvis Presley also, right? So I didn't get up, and he says, no, seriously. I went down there, and Elton John was there, and he says, hey, Kenny, how you doing? I says, what are you doing here? He says, I live here. I says, oh, that's right. He says, hey, don't, he said the F word, don't F up. God, it doesn't sound right unless you say it right. Don't effing up. I'm like,
maybe
oh,
you can
great.
drop one in now and then. Sure,
so he sat on the side of the stage at the Fox Theater, just looking at me and smiling. He was actually fascinated to see the Smashing Pumpkins. He came.
Oh.
But, oh, my God, yeah, that's just like at Madison Square Garden, New York City, sold out, Mellencamp. And I'm about to walk on stage. It's just like, oh, my God, this is huge. and this was back in the day when I still get nervous. I said, "What are those 4 seats there? There are 4 chairs on the stage." "Oh, that's Phil Collins and his family." I'm like, Phil Collins is sitting right there while I'm playing.
No pressure at all.
I didn't even look the whole night.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't even look. I just like, oh God, don't mess up. And my text said all he was doing was looking at drums, singer, drums, singer, drums, singer.
Wow.
I know. Now
That's
I
huge.
wouldn't care. I don't get nervous anymore. I just get real serious and focused. And as Bob knows, I practice
Yeah. Oh,
behind for 30 minutes before every
actually,
show.
I can tell you a funny story about that. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Was your room underneath my room?
Oh,
Yeah.
don't spoil my
Yeah,
story.
Bob would text me at 4 a.m.
No.
Is that you up there?
So I'm, for those who don't know, I now tour with John Fogerty as well, and
Yeah.
Kenny Aronoff. So it's last year on the John Fogerty tour, we were over in somewhere, Idaho. I don't know where it was. Doesn't matter. But the one thing I miss living in LA, because I'm from Australia, is thunderstorms, right? Shh. And so I'm in my room and I heard thunder and I ran to the window and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get a thunderstorm. And I'm looking out and I'm thinking, but where are the clouds? And then I went, Kenny must be above me.
God, that's great.
And it was Kenny practicing. You never stop.
No,
You just don't stop.
I know. It's a 30-minute routine I do. And at some point, my feet are doing, I do these 13 patterns and these rolls. It's a routine I do, and I can do it in the hotel room on my legs.
Yeah.
So
I was amused.
and
I
it's
wasn't
like my
upset.
feet are going like this for a long time while I'm doing all these exercises on top. And it's a routine I do when I'm on tour 3 times a day. Before sound check, before the show, and sometimes at 3, 4 in the morning I'm doing it. So I wake up warmed up.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
is that the hyperachiever or
That's,
what? That's ridiculous.
But I was amused by it. I was only disappointed because it wasn't a thunderstorm. I wasn't getting my storm.
Bob always texts me and goes, Kenny, I hear you. What are you working on?
Thank
I
you
text
for
him.
reminding me. You're right. Do you have any insecurities at all?
Well, we all have insecurities that come from our childhood, you know. But as an adult, I try to you feel those things, you know. When you're a kid, everybody's bigger. That you got people telling you what to do, and you know, when you make a mistake, you think the whole world's coming to the end, and you can get sad. You feel like a loser, and all these things that they never leave us. And so, what I've learned is to embrace them and then replace those with other things that are positive. And I'm a hyperachiever. Now, the hyperachiever quality is that you just work as hard as you can, do as much as you can, and as soon as you have a hit single, like when Jack and Diane went to #1, in 2 seconds I was going, holy shit, I gotta do it again. How can I do it again? When am I gonna do it again? And you just keep reaching goals, and it keeps you feeling positive and feeling good. And has been my method of being able to stay positive and feel good. And I always got so many balls up in the air. If something doesn't, I don't believe in mistakes or failures, by the way. I believe those are just events that happen in your life. I mean, you can call them that, but I don't want to even put the word out there. Those are just events that are leading you to become more perfect.
Right. I love that. And that leads me to my next question, that you do a lot of public speaking and inspirational talks. What is your definition of success?
The definition of success? Wow, nobody asked me that. Well, that's a personal thing for everybody, because some people have different, versions of success. For me, success is an ongoing thing. So the success would be like a #1 hit single. I'd say that's success, because your goal is to get the song on the radio, be #1. That's success. But then I'm the type of guy that being successful once isn't enough. It's continuing to be successful, because to be successful is hard, but to stay successful is even harder. So I keep trying to achieve more goals. Like, obviously, getting into the Mellencamp band, that was a sign of success to me. Getting a #1 hit was a sign of success. Trying to get another #1 hit was me, and I was on #1 hits Well, there's Meatloaf back there. There's Belinda Carlisle back there. Those were all number one hit albums, number one hit singles. Mellencamp had other number one hits, not on the top 100, but he had on mainstream, rock charts. I mean, and so that's a sign of success. And then becoming a session drummer when John quit for a while, my goal was to become a very successful session drummer, and I did. So that was a sign of success. Now I've been pivoting all of this, the Kenny Aronoff brand, into another type of success, which is to be this inspirational speaker. And my goal there, and I'm doing it, but I still have a long ways to go where I want to go, and that is to inspire people to realize what their purpose in life is. I mean, really, what are you friggin' doing here? What are you doing on this planet? Because when you figure that out, and that's a place in your heart, you will be unstoppable. Mm-hmm. You'll be undeniable, and you definitely will be authentic because you're just being you. Yeah. Nobody can argue if you're being you, and you operate at such a high level, and that brings you success. Mm-hmm. And it's not one thing. It's just success is an ongoing thing. So it's a long answer, but
no, it's great. That's
wonderful. What it is.
And so, yeah, you mentioned just a little while ago that there are no mistakes. So would you say that when one door closes, it's because another one is waiting to open?
Oh, yeah.
And do you think that getting fired was perhaps one of the best things that happened to you because of what it, who you became from
Absolutely. That? Okay. There's this thing that, you may have heard, you may not have heard. Have you heard of this thing where there's a gift in everything? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you got your arm chopped off, I don't know why I picked that up. Let's just say my friend from Def Leppard, his arm came up. One wouldn't think there's a gift right there. Mm-hmm. But maybe 20 years later now, he can tell you what that gift is. Mm-hmm. Now, what he learned as a human being, the way the band came back together. The band is the one that said, no, move on. I mean, I can't play drums with one arm. And they refused. They waited for 2 years and waited for him to learn how to play the drums with one hand.
Wow.
One arm. Yeah. But that's rare because, I know a lot of bosses that would have said, hey, see you later. Here's $10. Go to a ball game. But the thing is that I'm sure that he has incredible things to say about how he was gifted from that experience. Now that's pretty extreme. But when John, in particular, said, "You're going home. You're fired from the record." The gift and takeaway was then I stood up to him, I learned, I stayed there, I learned from those guys. There's a gift. I came back and focused my business model. There's a gift. I became a better drummer. There's a gift. I eventually, focused ahead. I wanted to be on the next record. There's a gift. Just it's endless, the gifts that I got. So yeah, it may not feel like a gift. The big thing that I'm working on now is that when something like that happens and you automatically start going into a negative, and I tell Gina this all the time. I'm working on I like to think of myself as, let's say, like a surfer. You finally get the wave, you get up on the wave, and you have no control on what that wave's going to do. You're not God. The wave is going to do what it's going to do, and you have to adapt and adjust, and suddenly you lose the wave. So you can sit there and go, "Wah!" and freak out and scream. But what I'm trying to do now is go like, there's another wave coming. I really wanted that wave, but I'm going to be cool and wait for the next wave.
That's cool.
And the reason why that's important is it's a way healthier approach, both mentally, physically, emotionally, and physically, spiritually, all the above, to stay in a positive place. Because it's not healthy to go into the negative place. No. It's been proven, literally proven, that you can really you can get ill, you can get sick from negative energy. Just like if I said to you, do you have a pet?
I did have, but not at the moment.
Well, let's say you're totally in love with your pet. I said, your pet just died. You'd go, oh, you'd be ill. You literally would be ill. You would or somebody that's close to you, you would literally just go like, oh my God, you'd get sick and weak. That's powerful. Immediately your brain sees an image, and then the image can literally trigger the most horrible feelings, which can create illness. Now, if I said something extremely positive, like, here's $1 million, man. Here's a house. I don't know, whatever.
Sudden you feel great.
And suddenly it's like, woo! Well, I'm buying you 2 tickets to Hawaii. Whatever it is, it's just amazing. So I'm trying to be like, it happens all the time. I get frustrated. I'm a hyperachiever, so I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And you can ask my wife, Gina. I get so focused. You can't even talk to me, because in my mind I've set this goal. I got to get this done until I feel comfortable. Well, things go wrong. And so I'm learning, so when they go wrong, don't get down. Try you will get your goal. It's better to be positive because it's healthier to be positive. That's my new thing.
Isn't this wonderful? For everybody who thinks, oh, it's all right for you, Kenny Aronoff, this is real. This is so real. And Karen Nash asked me to ask you. She comes on tour sometimes, and she's seen you with your fans. People line up at a John Fogerty show to see you backstage or whatever. They want to see you. And she said you have time for everybody. You never blow anybody off. You actually go up to people. They don't even have to approach you. I think you can see just by who this wonderful man is. She said, is that who you are, or do you make a point of being that way? I mean,
that's definitely who I am.
He just loves talking.
Exactly. That's it.
Gina said he just loves talking. Really?
No, well, really, the truth of the matter is, I want to get somebody in a headlock.
Right, exactly.
No,
they're not all cute girls.
No. Usually it's the big, fat, sweaty guys I want to get. No, the thing is it's natural for me. My mom's like that. It was kind of in my family. I don't mind. I don't mind signing autographs. I don't mind taking pictures. It's just it's not an effort, Right. So it's natural.
You're a people person.
Yeah,
I get that from you. I interviewed Bob Malone, also of the John Fogerty Band, a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him who named you a keyboard wizard, and he said the New Yorker. And he said, but when I came home and told my wife, hey, the New Yorker called me a keyboard wizard, my wife says, yeah, but round here you're just a guy in sweatpants. How does Gina keep it real for you when you come home off the road?
Off the road, when I come home, it's like, I'm home. She's like, with the TV. She's going like, I'm like, jeez. Or the dog's barking and she just lets it bark. Like it just barks, or she just sits on. Now, when she comes home, I get off the couch and I run to her and I say, hey, Gina. When I come upstairs and she just does that little head, the little fuzzy blonde hair, just like boom, 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 boom. So there you go.
See, Bob, you're not alone.
Well, people have different ways.
I'm in trouble now from Gina.
People have different ways of showing love.
That's right.
I just bailed her out.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Sometimes I make an effort.
She does. Sometimes I'll come up. She'll surprise me where, I'll come in through the garage door and I look up and there's she with these 2 doggies. Aww. And they're going. And a lot of times I come home and what greets me is the smell of incredible food.
I thought you were going to say
Gina's a badass cook. She's a badass cook. She really is.
There you are.
And she's from England, so she has a European flavor to her cooking. It's really incredible.
She's got a really cute accent.
She's and I shouldn't be telling this on the interview, but we're in close company. But she speaks in different languages when she sleeps.
Yeah, I don't think anyone needs to know.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
Doesn't she also fall asleep before she actually gets to the bed?
Oh, she's incredible. All right, now we're on Gina. One of the funniest pictures I took is it's her. She can live. She's small, everybody.
Yeah.
She's tiny. So will attempt to get in bed. She'll get one leg up, one leg down on the floor. She'll put her head down and she'll be on the bed like this with one leg up and sleep for an hour and a half with one leg standing.
Picture that.
And so I have to come up and lift her and just, roll her in.
Yeah, she's that heavy.
I didn't go like this.
All right, well, that was great. I love that.
That's where I got these things, man. That's from lifting
Yeah,
Gina.
look at that.
Yeah.
God, I tell you, I've witnessed it.
Yeah.
If you get into a headlock with those muscles, there ain't no getting out.
They don't get out.
Way.
That's right.
How are we doing for time? Oh,
I'm fine.
Oh, great. Well, I've got a couple more questions for you. Which one first? This one.
Inspirational ones.
Inspirational ones.
I see people are liking.
Oh, are they good? Okay, great. Well, good.
I can just bring up inspiration.
Is there anything you'd do differently if you had your time again with all your wisdom and life experience?
Oh, you mean life?
Now in life, yes, that might help those who are enjoying the inspiration.
I wouldn't do anything differently. I mean, like I said, I have to trust in the universe and that this was designed a certain way. If I were to try to change things, I'd be acting like God or something. You know what I mean? Of course, I could sit there, wish I had a better this, or I wish I had done that, or wish I'd gone out with Elton John. Well, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I dig where I am right now, actually.
Mm.
This whole COVID thing, it was as soon as the COVID thing came, I just made a list and went, okay, this is what I can't do anymore, but this is what I'm going to do to replace it. And I just went after it. Just like, I just said, that wave came and now I've got to wait for another wave and I'm going to still get where I'm going. So I wouldn't change anything. But the big thing is, what am I doing from this point forward?
Okay.
What has happened has happened. So it's what am I going to do from this point forward? And I think that it's very important to get the most value out of life. First is to realize who you are, accept who you are, really realize who you are, accept who you are, every aspect of who you are, embrace it, and make choices on what you want to do to be a better person, get the most value out of life. But it comes from a place of honesty. And my 11th commandment, you know my 11th commandment is? Thou shalt not bullshit yourself.
Right.
That's basically what I'm saying. Is like,
right.
You can bullshit other people, don't bullshit yourself. Because then if you know who you are, then that's a good starting point. And so, don't
beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I do beat myself up, but I'm trying to do that. I definitely am trying to be kinder to yourself because beating yourself up, once again, is not healthy. It's not healthy mentally or physically or emotionally. And, I got everybody knows I'm going to live to 150. So I'm not going to be so pretty. I might have to get a facelift.
Don't you dare.
I might have to get a head replacement, but right now, or the glasses are going to have to be this big.
Just go and get your twin brothers. He's got a twin brother.
No, he's I was about to say he's ugly, but he has an identical twin, so I can't say
it's
that.
Freaky.
This, this life is short, man. Boy, does it feel short now that I'm 21.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I really value, every day, and it's just whipping by. It seems like it's just whipping by. And so I want to get the most value out of it. I get excited. You can ask Gina. She even said today, because I was taking 4 courses. I took 4 this Keith Ferrazzi course. He's like my mentor. If I say that word one more time, she's going to hit me. But Keith Ferrazzi is one of the biggest influencers in a business. He's a networking guy, and he's a team builder. He takes companies with millions and turns them to billions into trillions. He's worked with 4 presidents. He's worked with Putin. And he gets hired because he knows how to make teams work he uses the term co-elevation, which is, if I'm on a team with somebody, I need them to be great so that we're great. It's not just about me doing a good job. When I do a recording session, just because I play drums great doesn't make it a great record. I need the bass player to be great. I need the guitar player to be great. We have to be great as a team. So I took a 21-day course with this guy. It was incredible. And then I took 3 more. And now I feel like I'm in like graduate school. But the whole point of that was in my heart was to try to learn to elevate myself to even a higher place than where I already am.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
So I'm still trying to learn.
We're always learning, always evolving, and that's why we're here, I guess.
Yeah.
So final question, Kenny. It's September 11 today in the States anyway.
Right.
Australia's already in 12. Where were you?
Okay. I was in Indiana. I was about to go to a photo shoot. The thing was the day before I was in New York City with I was on tour with Joe Cocker. I left at 5 a.m. on the 10th to fly home to do a photo shoot for Clip Speakers, which is in Indiana. I woke up in the morning and one tower had been hit, and I'm looking at it and I'm going like, why is the Towering Inferno movie on at 9 a.m?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I thought it was the movie. And then I'm hearing the news reporters, and I think it was Tom Brokaw. I'm like, he wasn't in that movie. And then I saw the other plane hit, and I saw their reaction. I freaked. I went, and so I'm like immediately, I'm like freaking out. I says, what's going on? So I suddenly think, I am supposed to fly back to New York today. So it's weird, but I immediately called up Hertz and said I need to book a car. I knew I'd be probably driving. I went up and did the photo shoot, and you can see the photo shoot. I am one angry. I'm leaning forward, and I'm like, don't you effing do that to our country. And I'm like, whoever. I was like, so angry. And I did the photo shoot, and I got in the car. And good thing I did, because almost all the cars were gone. I went to the Indianapolis airport, got in the car, started driving to New York. And I got to Cleveland that night, and I talked to the Joe Cocker people, and they said, yeah, keep coming. So far, it looks like it's not going to happen. And by 1, 2 in the morning, I'm getting near Cleveland, and they said, nobody's allowed to even leave New York. Nobody's allowed to even go into New York. So the next day, I'm driving on the Jersey side of the Hudson, and I'm seeing the smoke, those two towers. You know?
Yeah, that was incredible. Sorry to end on that note, but I just wanted to acknowledge the day, and I didn't choose the today, realizing that, but I just realized yesterday, wow,
that was a pretty meaningful time, but we have to look at it like, humans rebound. We're going to be rebounding from the COVID. I mean, what else are you going to do? You just one step forward, you keep going. It's just, that was a very traumatic experience for the world,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny Aronoff, I feel very honoured to not only be your friend now, but to get to work alongside you on the big stages. And I feel blessed. And I stand side when I'm not on stage. I'm always filming your solos. Holy heck! I'm getting shivers because you're just so inspirational and out of this world.
Thank you so much. I mean, there's actually a solo that you haven't heard. It's completely insane. That will be on tomorrow. Is a modern drummer festival, and usually they bring drummers in, but because of the COVID, they didn't. But now you have this huge, extraordinary group of drummers, and we all did 3 to 5 minute solos honoring Neil Peart. This solo you will not be able to dance to because it's an odd meter.
Where do we see it?
Well, you go on Modern Drummer. It's kind of live TV. It's Modern Drummer. It's going to be live, and it's like $13 you pay for it. I'm going to pay for it, and you get to watch this festival for 3 months. And it's like drummers like, Taylor Hawkins, Foo Fighters drummer, Chad Smith, Chili Peppers drummer, Thomas Lang, who's a Freakazoid drummer, Greg Bissonette, he's played with Ringo Starr, and I mean all these amazing drummers doing these solos, and we're all honoring Neil. And my solo starts off with a tribute to a song called YYZ. Gaga, 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 and then I go into some 7/8. I told you can't dance to it. Then I go into a 5/4 thing, which is kind of a Tool thing. I mean, it's insane. And at the end, I bring the thunder that you hear at the end while I'm playing. And I do the whole thing I do with the Fogerty thing. So there you go.
Go get his book. It is such a great read, and thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here, Gina. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Love you. See you next time. Bye.